Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on Fancy Football Scout. Janney and I are back for another season for the 25-26 season, where I'll be doing a team selection week in, week out for game week 1 through game week 38. Right now, the season hasn't even started yet. We'll be getting underway in about 3 or 4 weeks. But thankfully, Janney and I are back for a preview show today. Janney, how are we keeping?
Yeah, man, I'm very well. It's lovely to be back chatting with you. We've both signed a 12-month extension, rolling contract. No one was in the market for us, so we thought we'd go again. So good to be back with Fantasy Football Scout. And yeah, good to see so many already in the chat. It's been a fun day, like not just a fun day, but a fun 3 days. 2 days of rule changes, pretty much. And then a day of price reveals on WhatsApp. Who'd have thought it? I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back, Janney. Do let us know with the audio. Again, it probably will take us a second to tune in everything as usual. These streams don't go without any errors, so do let us know in chat. Great to see you all in there already. And it's great to be back. Like you said, contract extension for both of us, and we're delighted to be here. I'm sure this season will be a lot more exciting near the start. You know, towards the end of the season, I felt last season it does get a bit flat, especially when both of us amazing managers aren't doing so well, Janney. So hopefully have a bit of a better season this time around.
Mate, people don't tune into us to copy their teams for good ranks. Hopefully, it's just a little bit of like a loose chat with us. But I mean, you had such a worldy season the year before last. Like I remember when we first spoke, you were like in and around the top 10 or whatever it was. Like, yeah. I've also just thought of a really good joke when we said about the contract extension. I should have dropped something in about how Scout only give 12-month contracts to those that are 30 and over, and how that obviously applied for me, but not you.
Yeah, I've somehow made it through. I've pulled through. No, what I was going to say is for anyone that's just joining us this season, maybe this is your first time tuning in to Janney and I. Like Janney said, last 2 seasons ago now, I had a very, very good season, finishing top 1,000-ish. And I spent 30 game weeks in the top 10 or top 100. So it was an amazing season. And thankfully, from then on, Scout poached me, topped me up, and said, come join us. And it's been great doing these streams ever since. And we basically do a team selection every single Sunday. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes 6 p.m. We'll be mixing it up this time around, I imagine. In this stream, what we'll be going through is we'll go through some of the price reveals today. And we'll also take a look at some of the new changes in FPL. Janney, I know you discussed them with Az. I did tune in for a small bit yesterday on your stream. And we'll also have a look at some of the fixtures this season. So lots to go through.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to do it in the next sort of 40 minutes or so. And yeah, it's been it's been a great 3 days. Like, not everyone loves every rule change. AFCON especially hasn't gone down so well. But all in all, awesome changes so far. Awesome pricing so far as well, I think. Like, I guess we're reacting to the prices. I mean, a lot of them were 50-50 calls for me that went higher than lower. Like, it's so far, the indicators show that I think pricing is going to be more difficult this year, right? Players are going to be slightly more expensive. We'll talk about Wartz in a minute, but the other 3 we've had today, Pickford, we're all thinking, was he going to be 5, 5.5, 5.5. Isak was going to be 10 or 10.5. 10.5. Even Nori, a lot probably thought 5.5 or 6. He was 6. So I think we've got a good indicator that it's going to be some high prices this year.
Yeah, let's get straight into that. But before we get into that, Janney, a quick little shout out to Scout. We're doing 47% off, and if you want to tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, man, like the Scout members area. I'm sure so many watching use it on a almost daily basis. Like, it's one of those that just lives on my home screen. And even more now, having access to a members area feels more important because we're doing things like planning more chips. We're doing things like checking out defensive data. Like, I'm really interested on recoveries and clearances more than I ever have been before. So yeah, it's the best place for it. And the 47% discount. Like, I remember last year we were sort of promoting it at 30% off during the season and stuff like that. 47% off, just make the most of it. And you're probably going to use it more now than any other time in the season as well. So yeah, check it out, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely be using this season. It's very, very handy and all in one place as well. And also you get Sam's exclusive team reveals that comes along with that package. So if you want to click one of the links to support Janney or myself, they are on Twitter, on my own Twitter account or Janney's, and that'll give you a discount code while supporting us. So, moving on to the price changes. Let's get straight into it, Janney. The first one we got was Alexander Isak. Now, they made a WhatsApp group, which I thought was quite an interesting way to do it, get people to join the WhatsApp. And then they also made us vote on who we wanted to see. And the first one, of course, is Alexander Isak, came in at 10.5 million. I'll start us off. I personally think is very reasonably priced. This is exactly what I would have priced him at. If anything, I think between 10.5 and 11 would have been fair. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think because he's had such a good season, I think as long as he don't get injuries, he's guaranteed to get goals. And being on penalties, playing for Newcastle, I mean, Newcastle already, after making some signs as well, it's looking good.
Yeah, it's just a shame the fixtures are so tough for Newcastle. At the start of the season, they've got Arsenal on the opening day. I can't remember. It's a really tough run. They've got Villa, and then I think they've got Arsenal and Liverpool in the first six, and Forest as well. Like Brighton, they've got one good, like standout, very good fixture. But at that price point, I think we're probably swerving mostly. Like, can't see many picking Isak now early on. If he did get a move, like obviously there's been a lot of talk about Liverpool, and now with the Ekitike, maybe that's less likely to happen. It's worth noting he was left out of yesterday's friendly, and Hal did say it's because of the stuff around transfers. But I think he'll be at Newcastle. I just don't see us putting him in our Game Week 1 teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be at Newcastle as well. I think especially after Liverpool signing Hugo, who is a 6'3" monster. It's going to be interesting to see how that fares out for Liverpool, because, last season Liverpool didn't make a transfer all season and they pretty much walked the league, I would say, after a point. And now it looks like they're after spending, what, Janney? How many millions are they after spending now with Wartz and Nketiah? It's going to be really, really interesting to see how they line up with a proper number 9. Like, he's a tall striker who can dribble. So you'd imagine Gakpo will probably play on the left. You'll have Salah and then him up top. And likely Diaz, I'd say, to make way. I'm unsure if you've heard that on that. But Isak coming in at 10.5, I think is fair. What would you price him at, Janney? I'm interested.
10, maybe. Yeah, 10. I honestly wouldn't have been even like, okay, 9.5 feels too generous, but I think 10.5 is possibly, with every player, I think you want to price them at a point where they're never going to be 70-80% owned in a gimme, but also you don't want them to ever be 5% owned because the pricing was just wrong. And I don't think they've got this wrong at all, but I think he's at the very top end of where you can go. I think it would have been a bit of a steal at 9.5, bang on at 10, and a bit too expensive at 10.5. And these $500,000 matter.
I think it really depends on how they price the other forwards in the game. By the way, do let us know if the audio is okay. I'm unsure, so feedback would be appreciated. But yeah, if Isak is 10.5, well, you'd imagine, Janney, your volume is lower than Chelsea. Let me bump you up real quick, Janney. You'd imagine that Watkins would come in just under Isak, maybe 9. I don't know if that's fair, Janney. What you think of that? Especially not being on penalties, maybe 8.5 even.
Yeah, he's got to be. He's at least $1 million lower.
And also other strikers, like now we know João Pedro is a forward, which I think is really interesting and great for the game. And you also have the likes of Chris Wood, which I'm sure we'll see at some point. So it really depends on how they price those type of players that will justify Isak's price. Again, if they make Watkins, for example, like let's just say an unrealistic 9.5, well then it makes more sense to go to an Isak. And again, we have the likes of Gyökeres or Gyökeres and of course Etiketi. How do you say his name, Janney? I'm going to just call him Hugo. It's easier.
It's the same. Do you know, he's got one of those names where you can spell it the same. If you spell it back to front, it's the same spelling. Ekitike. Okay. I'm going to write it in the chat.
Ekitike. Because I'm going to sound like an idiot until I find out how to pronounce it properly.
If you say that backwards, it's still Ekitike. How mad's that?
Okay, so yeah, he's one that like we'll have to see, and I think we'll have a nice variety of forwards. Again, we'll have to see what Erling Haaland comes in at this time around, and I think he'll be a popular one coming the start of the season with their fixtures. But from Isak, let's move on. The next one we got was Jordan Pickford. Again, I'll start, Janney. I think I don't agree with this one personally. Again, highest scoring goalkeeper the last 2 seasons, fair. But 5.5 for an Everton goalkeeper at the end of the day. What do you think?
It's hard to comment until we know the price of the centre backs. Like, let's just assume Tarkowski is 5 and Mikolenko and O'Brien. I don't think we're going to get 4.5 million Everton defenders now, given the new rules with the defensive contributions, and given the fact Pickford's coming at 5.5. I think we might be kissing goodbye to Everton centre backs, or even Everton starting defenders at 4.5 million. So if that 5.5, Pickford's fine. If they do come in at 4.5 and I'm wrong, and you can get a Mikolenko or even an O'Brien at 4.5, then Pickford feels so expensive. So yeah. And again, where does this leave us with other premiums? Is Raya, Allison, are they going to be 6 or are they going to be 5.5? I feel like because Pickford's been so good, I think keepers could top out at 5.5. I think we could get Raya at the same price. And if we do, everyone's going to have Raya, aren't they? They're going to go Raya or Allison over Pickford. But yeah, up at, expensive price, but we know he picks up a lot of saves, and we know under Moyes they'll keep clean sheets. I want an Everton defender in my team for game week 1.
Do you think?
I know that.
Do you think there's a chance that we get the likes of a Raya or an Allison at 6 million, or do you think that's too far fetched? I think it's likely that we get Raya and Allison at 5.5 also.
Agree.
Yeah, and then we probably won't have any other 5.5s. Yeah.
FPL Freddie in the chat. Pickford's right. He's the top scoring goalkeeper for the last 2 seasons. Like, it's fair. It's probably fair. So I'm with you. I think keepers top out at 5.5 this year.
Yeah, no, and what you said about Mikolenko and even now Tarkowski we could talk about, who is a good goal threat. But with the defender changes, Janney, what do you make of that? I think overall good for the game. Variety, routes to points. Now we can bring in potentially CDMs, and centre halves are catching up on importancy in comparison to fullbacks. I think it is a good addition to the game.
Yeah, I agree. Like, gives us something to think about, gives us more to talk about, gives us a slight new dynamic. Like, I welcome that change. I think, of course, not every change is welcome, but I like that one very much. And I think it benefits the engaged manager, right? If you're watching FPL YouTube, everyone in the chat right now, for me, classes as an engaged manager. Like, you've got an edge over your mates in your work league or in your school league or whatever, if you're using stuff like Fantasy Football Scout members area, or you're watching YouTube, or you're on X, and it will matter this year.
Okay, let's run through the changes actually. Okay, so we got the double chips, Janney. I love that personally. I know there's a lot about like part of the strategy is that you only get one of each other than wildcard. But I think having, like, we'd wait so long throughout the season to use the likes of a free hit and a bench boost and a triple captain just for it to be wasted on 4 points. It almost gives you another opportunity now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how fun is it to be able to use them in single game weeks, guilt-free, and not worry, there's going to be a double later down the line. Like, we're very unlikely to get a double in the first half of the season. It could happen, like, bad weather or whatever. Like, it's unlikely though. So very unlikely, I must add. Like, we're going to be using chips with single game weeks, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on from Pickford. The next one we got was, of course, Renan Aït-Nouri. Coming in at 6 million, Janney. I think this is fairly priced. I've seen a bit of controversy about this one. A lot saying a bit too low. What do you think?
I think a little bit too high, maybe. I think 5.5 or 6 would have been fair. Like, he's going to be the first choice left back because the Club World Cup shows us this. He played most of those games and he looked great. He didn't sign to be on the bench, and I don't think he wants to play Guardiola there. I don't know. With the new rule, Aït-Nouri's not going to be a big beneficiary. He ain't going to get many tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances. So, I don't know. I don't see... It depends on the price point of those defensive contribution beasts. If a Tarkowski is 4.5 million and Aït-Nouri is a 6, I think they could finish on similar points next season. But maybe Tarkowski and those beasts do have a big jump. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I really like Aït-Nouri, and he was probably going to be in my game week 1 first draft. And then I saw the new rules and I thought I might just ease off a little bit.
That is absolutely brilliant. Sorry, Janney, before before I go on to what you said.
I'm reading the same comment.
That is brilliant. Sidewalk
And
Sightseeing says, an Asian fellow with an Irish accent and an Inter Milan shirt. This is why I love the globalized world. And absolutely. For anyone that is new.
I'm also representing Inter Milan behind me. I've got a great Inter Milan away kit behind me there. So yeah, mate, we're both repping the Inter in some way, shape or form.
So for anyone that's new, I am Irish. And for anyone that is from Ireland, the All-Ireland final was on today. Congratulations to anyone who's from Tipperary. And unfortunately to Luke, who's in chat, who's from Cork. All-Ireland final, Janney, is basically hurling. It was Cork versus Tipperary. So it was actually a really good game. I'm not a fan of hurling, but that was a great game. But yeah, it is a bit mad. I am an Irish Asian. There's very few of us. And it is uncommon. But welcome to the stream. Hopefully it's not the first time you're tuning in. And I hope to see you more in future. But yeah, what you said about Aït-Nouri, he probably does come in. Maybe I do get your point, especially we know how much rotation risk City can do. But I do think, Janney, if he does get maybe 5 starts in a row, 6 million, if he's starting, I think it'd be quite reasonable. We've seen Guardiola come in around that price, and he was picking up goals, seemed to be week in, week out, even though it wasn't that common. I think it is a nice price for him, though, and he is playing quite centrally from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Like, he's going to be super advanced. He's going to be fun. He's going to get attacking returns. So I get it. I'm just really curious now of the other defenders. And again, where does it leave Guardiola? Is he going to be 6 as well? He was the game's best defender last year, so I don't know. Does he get 6.5? Yeah. A lot of unanswered questions there with Aït-Nouri as our tease. I think with Pickford as our tease, we can probably picture other goalkeepers now with clarity. But because of the new points that defenders can pick up, it's really difficult to know how Aït-Nouri's priced. With Pickford, we go, yeah, it's fair. Best performing keeper for the last 2 years. Raya and Alisson will probably be the same. I don't quite know where I am with this one.
Yeah, I think we'll soon find out, depending on other players' pricing. Do you think we could see a Ruben Diaz come in at 5 million, or is that too reasonable? City were quite poor defensively last season.
Yeah, do you know what? They were 7th for expected goals conceded. But then when you look at just goals conceded and clean sheets, they were joint 2nd. Only one team kept more clean sheets than them, Liverpool. City kept the same amount of cleans as Arsenal, I think. So whilst they had a bad year and they had some horror games, they got a lot better for the run-in and they started clocking clean sheets. And I can't see a Man City starter at 5. I think Diaz could even be 6, but 5.5 to 6, like Mateus Nunes, Diaz, Akanji, Guardiola, I think 6, 6.5. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on from Aït-Nouri and go to one of the main ones today. Hopefully we get some of the big boys tomorrow. Florian Wartz, again, we haven't seen him yet in the Premier League. But he did play a friendly versus Stoke, I believe, and I heard he played very well. 8.5 million, Janney. Now, the way I look at this is how I compare him to some of the forwards last year for Liverpool whose players weren't named Salah. And it is quite similar, in fairness, and we probably do expect a bit more from Wartz playing in centrally, and also coming in at a massive 125 million price tag. The expectations are high, Janney. Is it a small bit low for a player playing for Liverpool?
I think so. Like, this is a nailed asset at Liverpool. When we were paying 8-ish million last season, it was at 7.5. We were playing for like Gakpo and Luis Diaz. We never knew every week if they were a starter. Like, you and I had quite a lot of banter over Gakpo being first choice or not, didn't we? But no one ever knew with absolute clarity. And even when they did start, they're not output monsters. Florian Wirtz is an output monster. Like, he is. In the Champions League, he averaged like a goal involvement a game, 6 goals, 1 assist last season in the Champions League. In the Bundesliga, it was something like 10 assists, 13 goals, or vice versa, 13 and 10. Like, he's an output guy. And so is Mo Salah. But to think there's going to be 6 million between them, possibly 6.5 million between them, it's a huge amount. Like, there's going to be a lot of drafts out there with Wirtz and Salah now. And I think I put myself in that category. I wasn't planning on having Wirtz in my team because I thought it'd be 9.5 million. I think he's going to be in there now at 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5 definitely really, really generous. I would have personally put him at a 9.5 minimum. And
Yeah.
another way I look at that is when I compare him to, the likes of a Saka. Again, sure, he doesn't have penalties, or a Palmer, who you'd expect coming around that range as well. Maybe way too cheap. Again, time will tell. This could be very well played by FPL, but something doesn't tell me it will be. And again, interesting that you're saying about doubling up on the two Liverpool boys. Again, the best attacking team in the league by a country mile, and especially with the signings.
Yeah.
That means you're probably not going to go with one of Palmer, Saka, and Erling Haaland, Janney.
Yeah.
I assume you've made some drafts and you've been tinkering. Again, we'll get onto that a bit later down the line, but someone has to give way, and I feel like we've a lot of variety now.
Yeah, I feel like because Wirtz is coming cheaper than we thought, you can have Salah, Wirtz, and then one of those other premium mids. Like you could have a Palmer or a Saka if you wanted with him because he's only 8.5. But it does rule out Haaland. You can't have Wirtz, Salah, and Haaland, I don't think. Because then, I mean, you can, but there's going to be compromises. There's always a compromise. But I'm really keen to see what they do with pricing of those cheaper centre-backs and DMs. Are they going to get a price boost because they're now picking up more points? Or are they, because it's the first season, are they still going to be really cheap 4.5 million options that get us lots of points? And if they do, and they are really cheap, it then opens the door to squeezing in an extra premium because you're like, oh, I can have Caicedo and Tarkowski who are earning loads of points and I can have them in my 11 each week, which means because they're only 4.5, 5 million, I can now have an extra premium this year. So I don't know. We'll know. I hope we know tomorrow. I don't know. Is the game going to be live tomorrow? Or are we just going to get another day of reveals? Yeah. Watch this space, everyone.
I think it's likely it's out tomorrow, personally.
Do you reckon they do some teasers first and then drop the game in like the afternoon and do some reveals in the morning? Or do you think it's going to be just straight up?
I would say during the evening time and do some teasers during the day, for sure. Maybe a bit more quickfire than what they've done today, doing 4 of them.
It was. I was like, oh, it's another hour and a half to wait. Like, oof,
yeah, they really, really made it really exciting. No, okay. Anyway, moving on from Wirtz. Wirtz. Sorry, I don't know why I'm calling him Wirtz.
I'm not sure, mate, if it's
really?
Wirtz or Wirtz.
I always say Wirtz.
I say Wirtz, but because you were saying Wirtz, I question myself.
No, it can't be Wirtz. Surely not.
No, Germans say Wirtz, don't they? So that it's got the yeah.
Sorry,
mate. I watched him live last year. I was on a stag do, and we went to Mönchengladbach versus Leverkusen, and he is one of those players. He's so good on the eye, like the way he carries the ball. He's always got time and space. Like he's not like De Bruyne, but he's in that same category as you watch him, and he looks like he's in a different class to everyone else on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree. I've watched him as well. He's fantastic, and he's one of those players like he's a dribbler. He's gonna make chances, and again, he's exciting. That's what we all want. But yeah, everyone is saying Wirtz in chat. Good to see. We weren't wrong. Where was I going from this? Yeah, so where I stand on that, Janney, is I think because he comes in as so cheap. Again, he's never, ever, ever, and I'm not in a million years saying he's gonna fill the gap of Mohamed Salah, but if Salah comes in at 14.5, 15 million, is it justified? He's a Liverpool attacker who's going to cut that price in half. I think personally, if Salah comes in tomorrow, let's say for example at 14.5, I think there is a case to potentially go without him. Now that is so bold going against the greatest FPL asset of all time, and I know I'll get some slander for it, but that's what we're about, Janney. Again, we've done it without Haaland before and we've done so well. What do you make of that, or am I deluded?
No, you're a out of the box thinker, and I expect nothing less. Doesn't mean I've thought the same. Doesn't mean we're going to go without Salah. I just feel captaincy is such obviously a massive part of the game, and I want to see Wirtz more in the Premier League in a Liverpool team to know if he's a captaincy option week to week. And as things stand, I know in my head reliably I can captain players like Isak, Haaland, Salah, Palmer on a good day, Saka on a good day. If you don't own Salah and Liverpool have a great fixture, have you seen enough to captain Wirtz? And I don't think anyone can safely say they have because we haven't seen him in a Liverpool shirt yet. So because Liverpool fixtures are good and therefore captaincy is so important, to go without Salah, I think you'd be a very brave man. But that's when we need to start looking at these captaincy matrices and going, I don't need Salah because I've got Watkins on that week and Palmer on that week and Haaland on that week, and then there's an argument for it. But I think I probably end up with him.
Yeah. Just a comment from Mahito. He says, "Why would you bring in Wirtz over Salah? Wirtz will need one season at least to adjust to the Premier League. He's not on pens or set pieces either." That's a really good point, and it's something I also thought about. You know, these players when they come to the league, they do take time. We've seen it with absolutely everyone. I can't remember too many players who've come in straight away. And
Well, Salah did.
Yeah, but he's already in the league before from Chelsea. You know what I mean?
True.
So
yeah.
So that is a good point. Again, I threw that no Salah just because it's interest. You know what I mean, Janney? It wouldn't be Chai and Janney without talking about not going without someone for the season. But yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting. So we've been requested to talk about some strategy, Janney. Now we've got double chips this time around, like we spoke about. Pan Jan says, "Can you discuss possible strategies?" And this is a really interesting one for me, and I do want to talk about this quite a bit. It's the discussion on bench boost 1. I don't know about you, Janney, but I hate the bench boost. I'm very rarely successful with it. Usually we wait for double game weeks because you get double the opportunity for points. And this time around we've been given another one, so double the fun apparently. I love the idea of playing it in game week 1 personally. I really, really do. And more so, part of me wants to get it out of the way rather than actually gain any benefit from it. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about, if you use it, there's a lot of players who could get benched. Well, if I choose a lot of players who I don't expect to be benched and people already have them, well, they're going without a player. They're going 10 men. So if I have a full stack 15, I'm actually making more opportunity for 13 or 14 starts rather than maybe 10 or 9. You know what I mean? But yeah, what do you think of that?
There's definitely benefits to game week 1 bench boost, getting it out the way, knowing we can wildcard. Like, there's a strategy which is a bit funky, came up on the stream last night, where you could bench boost game week 1, you could then free hit game week 2 and wildcard game week 3, which then you're wildcarding, you've had 2 weeks worth of looking at everyone, and the free hit 2 works because teams like Arsenal have Leeds, and you might not have any Arsenal players, but you can triple up against Arsenal versus Leeds, for example. I don't think that's for me, and I don't love it, but people are thinking down those lines. Bench boost early, get it out the way, then maybe thin down your squad, because again, you could put 4 million players on your bench if you wildcarded not long after a bench boost and you went really early. My thing is that I think back to last season, and a lot made errors last season with game week 1 team selection, and I think yes, maybe FPL managers are at fault, but also we didn't see it coming. And I was in the same boat as many others where we had Nkunku, and we thought Nkunku would start. We had Barco, we thought he was a starter. He went out on loan. I had Ben Johnson, Ipswich's first choice right back at the end of the season and in pre-season, but didn't start the first few months of the season, wasn't a starter. There's always a surprise or two where you do all your research. Every content creator tells you there's a starter, Barco, and Nkunku, and you get to game week 1 and actually not. So unless you're sure and you're picking players that you know are starters, there's always a surprise or two. And I just feel like if you bench boost game week 1, you're probably going to be stung by 1, if not 2. Or like me last year, I had 3 players that didn't start. It happens.
Yeah, for sure. So if you could give a percentage chance of you going bench boost game week 1, are you for it at all?
I haven't looked into it enough, but probably 15%. And that's only because I'm seeing so many managers that I like and respect saying it's a viable option. And therefore, if they're saying that, I've got to think it can't be the worst idea in the world. But I don't think it's for me. And I would add is, every season, there's a lot of managers that speculate for clicks. I might bench boost game week 1. Like, you've seen those that do it. They do it a lot. And they're never going to bench boost game week 1, not in a month of Sundays. Now they've got the extra chip. I hope those managers do bench boost game week 1, because Christ, you've literally now got it on a plate. So let's see. I'll be really interested to see, because so many speculate they're going to do it. And I'm like, dude, you're never going to do it. You're going to wait for the double game weeks later in the year. Well, now it's a reasonable play.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely speculating. I haven't a clue what I'm going to do for game week 1. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it will stick. And I am one of those managers who are probably just going to advertise to try to get it out of the way rather than boasting about me getting 16 points from it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I got 4 or 5 points on my bench boost last year, and I planned it. It is a rubbish chip. There is no harm in playing it early.
I did see a really interesting strategy actually on because we're getting double bench boost. It was wildcard 18, bench boost 19, and bench boost 20 because you get your chip back, and I think that's really really cool. Imagine doubling up on the bench boost after wildcarding. Have you looked at that, or is that a hoax and it's not all that?
Do you know, I've not looked at it, and I've not looked at any chip strategies. It's interesting, but my focus is on making my team for game week one, and then well, I mean, I'm going to think of chip strategy going into game week one if I think it could be a goer that I use chips early, but I don't think I want to be bookmarking them in. I like being flexible. I don't, where possible, I like being reactionary is the wrong term because you like to plan ahead still, of course, but I don't really want to be bookmarking too much this season, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I think you're absolutely right. So, like you said, you're looking at your game week one team. Let's move on to that for the last 8 minutes. Again, do hit that like button and subscribe. Do show your love for Janney and I. We love doing these shows every Sunday, and we'll be back next Sunday, I assume, Janney. And we'll be looking
Yeah,
forward
I guess
to it.
so. Yeah, I guess we're doing them to the season starts now.
Yeah, hopefully we do have the game released so we can maybe make a team selection early on. Some
Mate, we
drafts.
have to have the game by next Sunday. I mean, I reckon. Do you reckon this time in 24 hours we've got the game?
I want to say yeah. Start off the week strong.
Me too. Me too. I reckon they must be planning on Monday because it's less than a month now till it starts.
And reveals on a Sunday. That's interesting. But like I was saying, Janney,
Yeah.
your eyes are on game week one, and rightfully so. Looking at the fixture ticker, Arsenal to Wolves, who have you got your eyes on, and what prices, more interestingly, would you have to see from some of these assets to consider them? For me, again, absolutely no bias shining through. For anyone that is new, I am a Spurs fan. Dominic Solanke, if he comes in below 7.5 million, I'll be licking my lips versus Burnley. Another one we have to talk about is Mohamed Kudus, who had a very, very good debut for Spurs. Which I think if he comes in under 6.5 million, again, it really depends on how Thomas Frank is going to set up. He'll be talked about for sure. And you would expect Spurs to do a bit better than they did from 17th place last season. Other assets like the likes of the City boys like Marmoush and Haaland, and also Cherky now. He has to be talked about. And Saka and Palmer, of course, Janney, with your Chelsea side doing so well. They're the ones for me that I think we have to look at. Who do you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I'm interested in. I don't know if I'm going to be at the position where I afford Cole Palmer. I think he's going to be 10.5 million, too expensive for me, perhaps. So I do want to cover that Chelsea attack, and it's just where you land because you worry about João Pedro not being a 90-minute man. I think Enzo Fernandez could be really interesting because he does well with the recoveries. And he's become a bit more of a goal threat. He had a great Club World Cup and he's playing number 10 quite a lot. He did for the run-in. So I think Enzo could be a Chelsea attacker I look at. Pedro Neto had a great Club World Cup. Like you, I'm interested in Spurs. I think Solanke will be in my game week one team if he's 7.5 or less. If he's 8, he won't be. I hope he's 7. I don't know. Big chance Brentford will become big chance Spurs. They will create a ton of big chances. It's what Thomas Frank does. If anyone's watched my Sunday streams, you'll know I bang on about shot maps and stuff like that with Brentford. You're not allowed to shoot from range. It's all about working big chances. And Solanke should be a huge beneficiary here. So I'm really interested in Spurs attack because Frank teams attack well. Look at Visser's numbers. Look at Mbermo's numbers. Man City, I want to cover if I don't go Haaland. I'll probably land on Marmoush. I think Marmoush could be a midfielder next year. I think he probably will be. And many will disagree with that. But it's right not to play him as a forward in FPL because he isn't a number 9. And that's their rule. If you're a wide forward or a 10, you're a midfielder. And as far as I'm concerned, unless Haaland's injured, Marmoush ain't a 9. So I think Marmoush will be like a 8 million, 7.5 million mid, which I think will be a huge tempter for those that don't go Haaland. I think I'll have Everton defence covered. I think I'll probably have Raya in goal at 5.5 if he is. So yeah, I'm. It's interesting. I quite like Ollie Watkins. No one's talking about Villa with Rashford going. He's first choice again. The fixtures are good. They're right at the top of the ticker. And because he's not on pens and didn't have the best of seasons, we could get Watkins at like 8.5, 9 million, like probably 9 million. I think that's a good price point for such a such a good FPL scorer.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting about the Everton ones. Like, I would love to say I'll have that covered, but no guarantee about that.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting what you said about Spurs as well, because if you're bench boosting game week 1, you want it for that Burnley game. Let's be realistic. Game week 2, we've got City, and if you have the likes of a Pedro Porro, who I have to say did play really well in that friendly, also picked up a lot of central roles and was very creative. You get the opportunity to bench a player like him. Again, I'm just looking at the fixture ticker.
Is he going to start Shy, Pedro Porro? Because I feel like right back's a really interesting position under Frank. Like, assuming Adogi's going to be first choice left back, Jed Spence is such a quality player. Is he? He feels like a Frank style wing back.
Yeah, I probably would expect Porro to still play personally.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think it's definitely Porro's to lose.
Yeah. And Jed Spence left back or Adogi left back? Adogi left back, first choice, right? Surely.
Adogi for sure. He's been really good since coming back from injury. One position I would say there is a bit of debate on. Frank does like a good playing goalkeeper, and Vicario is not a very good playing goalkeeper. An Italian man, Janney. I think.
No, you're right. It's his weakness.
Yeah, Kinski could definitely get a nod for sure. And again, Kinski did start that friendly, not Vicario, so be interested to see what happens. And Vicario did look very shaky when he did get the ball at his feet. So,
nice.
Moving on from Spurs, any love for Jared Bowen versus Sunderland away on that first game of the season, Janney?
my thing there is Bowen's so good, he's going to be expensive, and I don't know if I want to spend 8.5 or 8 million, probably 8.5 on a West Ham player, because I don't trust Potter, and I think Potter could be under real pressure this season. I just don't trust West Ham to score enough. Obviously, when they do, you're like, Bowen's still getting 7 to 9 pointers. Like, it's great, but I don't think the fixtures are good enough. Game week 1's lovely, but Chelsea, Forest, Spurs, Palace, and then Everton, Arsenal, Brentford. Like, it's a really tough run for West Ham, I think, other than game week 1.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that completely. Where was I? No, Bowen. I'm surprised that Bowen hasn't got a move, to be honest. He's been at West Ham for a while now. And, you've seen Kudus get snatched up from Spurs, of course. He is, of course, their captain now. But he is lethal. And staying at West Ham, no offense to the West Ham guys, by the way, but you know what I'm saying. You understand where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Dude, he's got married to Danny Dyer, who is also her dad is called Danny Dyer. Many will know him, who's proper Essex, East London girl. And I just feel like he's very happy there, and his home life probably matters to him. He's a real family man. He doesn't go out partying. He's not the stereotypical footballer. I think he's just they've had a baby. Like, I think living in Essex and her career, because remember, she's famous too and an influencer and makes a lot of money. I think being in London is so important. But I mean, you could still have gone and moved for Spurs, but I think teams like Newcastle and even Liverpool in the past have been linked. I don't think he wants to go and live in Newcastle or Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I think that matters to him.
No, I hear you. That's interesting. Okay, we're just about to wrap up, but before we do, it's very early days, Janney. The window is still open. We haven't seen any of the prices, not that they matter at this stage, but what are your expectations for this season? Again, after signings we'll talk again, but top 5, hit me.
I think Chelsea could get. I think they'll get top 4. I think they could even get third. But I do think I do see Arsenal and Liverpool being clearing away top 2 again. I don't see City winning the league. I think it's Liverpool's to lose, and I think Arsenal will be similar to last year. Really hard to beat. Really good defensively, probably lacking some goals in big games. Arteta always parks the bus in big games, and it bugs me. Maybe if you sign a Gyökeres, that changes, but it's going to be an interesting race for the top 5, because it'll probably be 5 places again in Europe for Europe for Champions League, and let's see how teams like Spurs deal with playing Champions League, Premier League, because it's very different. Same as Chelsea, very different playing Thursday night Europa League or Europa Conference League and then Premier League, because you rotate so much in those Thursday night games if you're Spurs or Chelsea. In the Champions League, you can't do that, and you won't do that. And teams like Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool, they do it so well. They're able to put out the same 11 Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, Tuesday. I'm keen to see how Chelsea and Spurs manage with that, because I think we could see a little bit of a dip after Champions League games for those two teams.
Yeah, for sure. I think Spurs. I don't think will be go well. Well, that will be our goal for the season. Top four. It's gonna be quite hard again. New manager change. Champions League. It's gonna be quite taxing, I'd imagine. But it's good to see that we're finally building a squad. Hopefully, we see Morgan, Gibbs, White come in. Chelsea then, Janney. Before we finish, what would your goals for the season be?
I would love us to have a striker that scores sort of 20 goals plus. Like I want Maresca to be able to have that number 9 he can hang his hat on, and Jackson's not been that guy. Although Jackson's got unbelievable qualities, unfortunately one of them isn't finishing or discipline, and that matters to fans. It matters to Maresca. João Pedro could be the answer. Delap could be the answer. They're both great and very different profiles. So I think our business has been great. Defensively in the Club World Cup, we kept a clean sheet versus PSG. Like Chelsea as a covering them defensively, depending on price points. I'm pretty sure I'll have a defensive Chelsea player, and I'm pretty sure I'll have a midfielder. Like the fixtures are good to go double up. I just don't know if I'm going to spend the money on Cole Palmer. He's clearly Chelsea's best FPL asset, but he's going to be so much more expensive than any other Chelsea midfielder, which you'll go, oh, do I want to go Enzo or Palmer? Well, it's 5 million difference. It's a big dilemma there for Palmer. Also, if we're going Wartz, can we afford Palmer? So, yeah, I'm interested. I'll probably have a Chelsea double up to start the season.
I'm in agreement. I love the idea of a Palmer personally. I'll probably have a Cucurella in there as well. I played around with the idea of Sanchez as well, but I think he could be a bit too expensive for me. I really like the Chelsea fixtures. But that's us done for this first stream of the season, Janney. Pleasure as always. Before you leave us, do hit that like button and subscribe. Also, check out the members area, 47% off. Use either Janney or I's code. Also, check out Janney on YouTube at Janney Batici. And if you want more content from myself, it is FPL Chai on YouTube.
Chai, I just dropped a video, so that's a great plug. If for those that have just finished this, they want to go onto my channel and watch that, I've literally just dropped it. So yeah, go check it out. Just reacting more to what we've seen today.
Perfect. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone. Bye.